Hey there, it's Melissa Brunetti, and welcome to the Mind Your Own Karma podcast.
Hey there, Karma Crew. Thanks for joining me on another episode of Mind Your Own Karma, the Adoption Chronicles. I have been so excited to bring you this interview today with Gigi. Let me tell you a little bit about her. She was born in 1969 and was left at the hospital at birth. The name given to her was Anne Malone. 3 days later, she was added to the foster care system and at age 7 found out she was adopted. Now feeling like a square peg in a round hole, she tried to put her adoption in the back burner of her mind and move on. At age 19, she lost her adoptive mother, but made an unwelcome connection with her birth mother. Once again, she was rejected for a second time, and a few years later rejected again for a third time. Dealing with rejection played a large part in attracting unhealthy relationships and not understanding her own self-awareness. When Gigi was in the hospital, surviving leukemia and a bone marrow transplant, discovering the importance of breath work and meditation totally shifted her life, and is learning to love herself even after years of feeling unworthy and unwanted. Now she uses her platform to inspire and motivate people so that we will all be reminded that having a positive attitude can raise our vibrations and change the outcome of any situation. Please enjoy my interview with Gigi Sturgis. We are welcoming Gigi to the show today. Hi, Gigi.
Hi, how are you, Melissa?
I'm great. I'm so glad you're on the show. I see people's faces and I sometimes feel that connection right away. And I did feel that with you. So I'm super excited to jump into the interview today.
I am too.
Yeah. So I just want to ask, why do you think it's important that we tell our adoption stories?
I think it's important to tell our stories simply because, just like myself, I felt as though I was the only one feeling or experiencing or, even that could only be the only one to fathom what I was going through. So I feel like me telling my story, it helps other people that are going through basically what I've been through.
Yeah.
And I think that's like my lot in life to not hold on to what I've gained or what I've known. I like to, kind of spread.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. We don't go through things for nothing. I mean,
Yeah,
you might as well
agree.
share what you've learned and try to help somebody else. What do you know about your adoption story? Do you know anything about why you were picked?
Well, I know that my mother was, I do know my story, kind of. It's kind of all over the place, the way that I found out. But I will say, I don't know if you want to know how I found out first.
Yeah, whatever you want to.
Well, initially I was a foster child.
Okay.
And my mother left me in the hospital at 3 days old. And I had a little revelation about that just today because I was born in 1969. And I don't know how long they let mothers stay in the hospital. But I thought to myself, did she get to hold me? Did she have any interaction with me since she left me at 3 days old?
Yeah.
But she left me in the hospital at 3 days old and I became a foster child. And I was a foster child to a beautiful, amazing family. I didn't have any negative things to say about anyone that I was in contact with when I was a child in the home. But I always felt like I didn't belong. And I think that's a thing that I think most adoptees feel.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't fit in. Like, I don't look like you. I don't have mannerisms like you. I love you, but I don't feel like I belong here.
Yeah.
So at age 7, I was getting dressed for school. My mother at the time I thought was my mother. I didn't even know I was a foster child or anything.
So you hadn't been adopted yet. You were still
hadn't been adopted yet.
Okay.
But I didn't even know I was adopted.
Yeah.
So I didn't know the process at all. So I was just standing there and I looked at my mother and something made me blurt out, "Are you my real mother?" I said that. And then immediately, like I remember her face, and it makes me so sad because she was so meek and humble, and she loved me so much. I could just feel her love.
Mm.
But I think I like it felt like a gut punch to her. And
Yeah.
she said no. She immediately said
Wow.
no.
Wow.
And for her to say no, and my 7-year-old self, I'm thinking, I wasn't really expecting you to say no, but
Yeah.
now that you said no. So I remember her saying, your father was in prison and your mother had other children and she couldn't keep you. And that was the end of that. And I wanted to know more
Yeah.
as time went on, but when I saw her face, I dare not,
Right.
ask any more questions. So that was the extent of me knowing at that stage in my life. And as I got older, when she passed away when I was 19, that made me want to like, I want my mom now. I lost my mom, she passed away, but I want my mom, my real mom now. I want to know more.
Yeah.
And so had a best friend. Her name is Trudy. She worked at the police station. And now, mind you, I lived in a small town. Like we had one traffic light in our
Oh
town.
gosh.
So like Mayberry or
Yeah.
and so everybody knew everything, gossip, all that. So my best friend worked at a police station and she said, let me just start asking some questions. So somehow she started telling, little, nuances about my adoption or my life. And a lot of people were saying, I think I know who her mom was. Yes, but she didn't.
What?
I'm thinking, what? What do you
Yeah.
mean? So that prompted me to then go to the am I talking to you?
No, go ahead.
That prompted me to go to the local it wasn't the adoption agency at that time because we had lived in a small town. I think it was social services.
Hmm.
But that's where all the adoptions and fosterings and things took place, I guess. And the lady that was in charge, she knew my story because she knew she knew everything. So she printed out this piece of paper that stated, I wish I still had it. And it said, it was just what is it, non-determining or non-identifying.
Identifying.
Yes, I'm really not too great with the terminologies. I will be honest about that. I just know
Yeah.
how I feel.
Yeah.
But it said non-identifying information, and it said father in prison, um, mother had all those things that my adopted mother said. And so I gave that to my best friend, and she just went wild. She just started going to neighboring towns and like found out that they said, "Oh, I know her mother. Her name is," and they said her name. And that's how I found out who she was.
Wow.
That's just the first. So I'm all excited. Oh, I found my mom. And,
Yeah.
so I did some research, found out that she was a prominent college professor, but not in our area in, down south. So I found out what college she is. Here I go. Doo-doo-doo. I'm going to, started typing this email, but it was on like the public, the college email, like it was public. Everyone could see it.
Oh gosh. Did you know that?
So
Were
no,
you
I
like,
didn't know anything about. I had no idea. I just saw her name and her email address. So I wrote her this really touching letter, told her who I was. Of course, I had to, identify myself. I gave her my birthday and, all the things that would connect her to maybe stir her wheels.
mm-hmm.
So she wrote me back, how dare you? How dare you?
Oh
My
my
God. Oh my
gosh.
God, what have I done? What have I done?
Yeah.
She said, not only did you write this, I can't even remember all the words, words she used, but she said, not only did you write me on a public email, I didn't want to find you. She said, had I wanted to find you, I would have found you a long time ago. She also went on to say, yes, I know your birthday. You were born in the summertime. So what? I mean, it was just so like
Cold and oh
so
my
cold.
gosh.
And so she said, if you write me again, I will have the authorities, do whatever they need to do. So here I am, just crushed. I'm like thinking, because I'm a mom, Melissa, I love my kids to the ends of the earth. Like they wouldn't have to sneeze loudly and I'm there,
Mm-hmm.
So for me because I'm thinking, well, I don't know the full circumstances as to why she did not keep me. So I'm thinking maybe now would be a great time for us to connect. I'm an adult. I don't want anything from you.
Yeah.
So come on. And, so that, really crushed me. So,
Yeah. What happened after you read that? When you read that, like, how did that
I
feel?
was
How did
crushed.
that affect you? I mean,
Here I am. I'm already in a tumultuous marriage, and he's cold to me. And now the woman who gave birth to me now wants nothing to do with me. So I kind of just like held on more to my children, I guess. But that crushed me. Like I was rejected again. You left me in the hospital, and I found you, and you reject me again. So,
yeah.
but that kind of put a halt on it, as far as she was concerned. But I did find my father, had a great relationship with him. He immediately embraced me.
Mm.
Um, but one thing I will say that I regret, since my father's not here anymore, when he embraced me, I rejected him
Oh, really?
because I'm thinking to myself, I just wanted my mother. I lost my adopted mother. I want to replace her. I want my mother. And when she rejected me, I in turn rejected him. So I really am really sorry but I was in a place where I could not, it was just a
Yeah.
lot. It was so much going on internally. I've always dealt with, in my mind, rejection.
Mm.
So I'm a super duper people pleaser. I'm
Yeah.
learning to get out of that, but that's one of my I just always want to make people happy to accept me.
Yeah.
And me being 54 years old, Melissa, and now just realizing this, that's what upsets me so much about adoption. I know that adoption can be a good thing in the right hands, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
but I really feel like you don't, why adopt? Just, be my guardian, or even still, I went 7 years not even knowing,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. Were you ever
7 years.
adopted or were you foster the
Oh,
whole?
I was adopted at 8, around age
Okay.
8.
And from the
Um,
foster family that you were with,
the,
or?
the foster family, I think they wanted to replace me or place me into another situation. So her daughter adopted me.
Okay.
And that was the only mom that I knew. And she was the lady who passed away when I was 19, the only
Mm-hmm.
mom that I knew. So they wanted to keep me in the family. So I always felt wanted by them. But like I said, I just always felt like I don't belong here. And I
Yeah.
feel that even now, everywhere I go, I feel like
Mm.
I don't belong here. This is not where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
Or yeah, it's really traumatic for the child. Even now, I am 54 and I'm still dealing with that.
Yeah.
Um, I guess that's why I'm more reclusive. I try to stay to myself. I create these big boundaries for myself because I do not want my bubble to burst. I don't want anyone to hurt me,
Yeah.
and I don't want to not be accepted.
Right. So how have
So,
you seen adoption play out in your relationships? Are you able to have, healthy attachments? And you
mhm,
said that you had a tumultuous marriage. Do you
yes,
see like adoption playing a role in any of that?
it did. I took a lot more because I wanted to be accepted in my marriage, and that I realized that I didn't have to. I think sometimes as an adoptee, and even as people, but more so for adoptees, we don't know our worth
Yeah.
because we don't even know who we freaking are.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even have my birth certificate. Those things that other people take for granted. And I've had friends say, "Oh, what's the big deal? You had a great family, or get over it, or you were chosen. You're so."
Yes.
Don't
All
say
those.
that.
Yeah.
All those things, just
Yeah.
you know, just And I know that it's due to lack of understanding, but
It is.
adoption played a big role in me staying in a relationship for 24 years, 20 plus, I'll say 20 plus years. And I took a lot of abuse, because I felt, oh, if he hit me, he loves me, maybe. Or if I do what he says do, for me to do, then that means that he loves me or I love him. And, I just went through a lot of roller coasters, even in friendships.
Yeah. So what happened when you guys split up? Did you leave, or did you finally kind of realize what
He
was
left
going on?
me.
Okay.
He left me for another woman. First it was drugs primarily, but and in the end he left me. And then I was left to fend on my own. So here I am again thinking, nobody wants me.
Yeah.
I don't even want grand things. I just want to live. Nobody wants me. That's how I always
Yeah.
felt, unless I do what they want me to do. So that, I always felt like I had to always please. And
Yeah.
so when he left, I'm left alone with 4 children. And I think that's when I kind of got my strength a little bit.
You had to.
Yeah, I had to. I didn't have a choice. Living in hotels and just, so many things that I feel like had I had that strength or knew that I had that, I don't know, like that beginning. I feel like I didn't have a beginning.
Yeah.
I feel like my beginning is just starting now. But honestly, like when I found out that I was adopted, I think that that's when things opened up for me more, and I got illuminated as far as understanding that. And I didn't understand that I belonged somewhere. I was understanding that I didn't belong.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I mean? It
Yeah.
seems like adoptees, we go more to the negative as
Yeah.
opposed to saying, oh, I belong to this person now. I know that they wanted me. I went to more like, now what?
Yeah.
I don't, it's just like,
Well, when
so
your birth mother doesn't want you, that kind of starts
mhm, that
that
whole
whole
thing.
thinking.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and I still, to me, even today, Melissa, it's like I fight it daily. I fight daily to just accept myself. I'm learning more to accept myself and not give a darn what, if they accept me, if anyone else accepts me. So yeah,
Definitely.
but
Yeah.
yeah, I think adoption played a big role in the relationships that I filtered. Yeah.
Did you just kind of attach to whoever came along because they wanted you?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the person that I married, he's older than me, and he was like very authoritative, and he would help guide me. It was more like he parented me a bit,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and I think I really wanted that. I wanted not to have to think about, oh, how are we going to pay the bills? I got it. He would say that, "Oh, I've got this. You don't have to work. Stay home, take care of the kids." But I didn't realize that was part of a narcissistic game
Yeah.
that was being played. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So I think
And everybody's
being
going, "Oh,
adopted.
you're so lucky that you don't have to work and you get to stay home with the
Hmm.
kid. What a
Yes.
great husband you have."
A great
Right?
husband. And then when he left, I'm like, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
I don't
I don't know
know.
how to
I
pay the
haven't
bills.
worked. Exactly. So it kind of crippled me yet again.
Yeah.
So I think it's very important, even as adoptees, to somehow have a network or something where we can like group together and say, you are worth it.
Yeah.
You know, let's help her because she's struggling right now and she's lost and she doesn't know what to do. And, so I think that adoption is, can I say sucky? It's, to me, that's my opinion.
Yeah. Even though it sounds like you had a pretty decent
I
uh,
did.
upbringing, there's still those issues, those
Mm-hmm.
underlying
So,
issues that don't get dealt with.
yeah.
Yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
so it just gets bigger and bigger as you get older.
Yeah.
And yeah.
It grew. It grew.
Yeah. So growing up, did you have siblings? Were they foster or adopted or?
Hmm. Well, when I was until I was like 14, there were always kids in the house. I was the youngest and I was the only girl.
Mm.
Because even though I was adopted, her mother was still a foster parent.
Oh, okay.
So she still had children, kids coming in and out. So I wasn't really alone, but I was the only girl. So I guess I was, kind of the only child. So I clung to them, my mother and my grandmother a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned a lot from them.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Any biological siblings?
Oh yes. Like I said, I found my dad, and my his children embraced me immediately. I mean, like I said, he embraced me, but I rejected him. But when I got myself together, and we became close, I met his children from his marriage, his previous marriage.
And were you
And
the
we're
oldest?
close today. No, I'm the baby on both sides. I'm the youngest on. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I apologize. My dad did have another son, Tony. He's younger than I am, but I am, we're the two youngest. But yeah, so but on my father's side, I'm the second youngest. On my mother's side, I am the youngest. So I know them. I know my family on both sides. I met my maternal grandmother before she passed away, and she even told me, she said, I don't know what's wrong with your mom. I don't know why she's pretending that you're not you. I think she said that you're not here. Everybody knew about me, but she chooses to be that person. Like I have a relationship with everyone. I'm going on vacation with them in 2 weeks.
Wow.
My siblings. So it just kind of like, I feel like there's something psychological, or there's something that she's missing.
So your siblings on your mom's side, you get along with them? You've talked to her mother? No. Oh, you don't?
No. Okay. This is going to blow somebody's mind, but my biological mother, the professor, she married a man that has no idea that she has children. They've been married, if I calculate correctly, they've been married for almost 30 years. And from my understanding, he has no idea that she has children, because when she gave birth to me, not only did she leave me, she left them behind as well. And she went on to go to I guess, do her academic, whatever. And she promised, from my understanding, she promised her family, who she left her other children with, I'll come back for them. And she never did.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. So I'm already in foster care. They're spread all about, and she's living her life. Yeah. And she's married to a man who has no idea. Now, from my understanding, those 3 children went to the college one day to, confront her as to, why'd you leave us? And when they came into the meeting room, my sister, at the time we were speaking, she said, Mom didn't even know who we were, because she left them when they were little babies. And she begged them not to, I guess, expose her and not tell. So from my understanding, my biological mother's husband thinks that the other 3 kids are just like children that she knows, or people that she knows. He has no idea that they're her children, because she has the relationship with them, but not me.
Yeah.
I said, this is like a lifetime story. Like, who lives their whole life? And I mean, that's a big lie. You lied to your husband about having children before you met him.
Yeah. And then they didn't have any children, right?
They didn't have any children together.
Yeah.
So I just don't understand. So that lets me know, right, that there's something missing with her, to create that whole, story.
How did you find...
to have them, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
And to have them play along with it, the children.
Yeah. Even to ask them to do that.
And they agreed. Yes.
Yeah. Wow. That's really hurtful.
Very hurtful.
For everybody.
Yeah.
So you found your dad. How did he find you? Or, because I know you said you kind of rejected him at first. So how'd that happen?
My best friend, the detective, she found out, once we found out who my mother was, it kind of, everybody put the pieces together. So she found out that it was him, and I looked him up in the phone book, phone books back then.
Yep.
called him. And when I called him, he said, "Oh my gosh, I've been trying to, I've been trying to find you. Can I come to your house right now?" And I'm like, "Oh, wait a minute. Give me some time." So in a week, he came to my house. He looked at me and I looked just like my dad.
Mm,
He immediately knew that I was his. We didn't do it, he knew I was his child.
yeah.
He knew. So,
Wow.
and we had a great relationship. One of my biggest regrets is that um, we only had 2 years together.
Mm.
Yeah, and he passed away. So,
But
yeah.
you're close with
So,
your
but
siblings on that side.
yes, I have brothers and a sister. I have three brothers and a sister on that side, and we're very close.
Nice.
And they're very supportive.
Good.
And their mother as well. I
Oh,
call her
wow.
mom. Yeah, and
Nice.
she's very understanding. I won't dare to ask the details because I know that probably was, you know, trauma for her as a wife. So, but she's very, very supportive. Very.
So he knew about you. And so did your siblings know about you that you were out there somewhere before you
Now
came?
that's I think after I met him, I think he might have told them.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know that I haven't had a chance because I don't like to rock the boat. I should be asking these questions. And my sister always says, if you want to know something, sissy,
Mm.
but I like to keep it light. And I guess I should ask, but I don't.
Do you feel like you do belong when you're with them? Or is there still kind of a disconnect because didn't grow up together?
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
I know they don't mean to, but it's like they put I feel that they're there and I'm here. But when we are together, they welcome me,
Yeah.
but I still feel like,
You
I'm
don't
not
have
a
the
part.
history and yeah.
Yeah. When they talk about things growing up or whatever,
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah. Exactly.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, another fun fact. I worked with my sister in high school and didn't know she was my sister. She was
What?
my manager at Popeyes. And
That's
I
crazy.
had no idea that she was my sister. So
Oh my gosh.
yeah,
Wow.
oh, and I used to go to my dad's house because I have so many, you can cut this out, but um I used to go to my dad's house because my one of my good friends dated my brother,
Oh
my
my
biological
goodness.
brother. I didn't know he was my brother, and she used to always drag me along. And I would see my dad pass by in the kitchen, and he was so nice. He said, "Hi, girls," and that was my dad. Yeah, I had
Oh
no idea. And
my
I was in the
gosh.
house with my siblings and had no idea.
That's so
Yeah.
crazy.
hmm
Oh
So,
my
you know,
gosh.
I know it's just like, I don't know. It's just crazy. It's like a book, but still in the midst of all of that, Melissa, I've always felt like I just don't belong. Like I can walk in a room now that I have that confidence as a person. I walk in the room and I'm like, I'm here. Hello.
Yes.
But, before it was like, I'm here. Let me shrivel.
Yeah.
Let me not, and
Yeah.
I think all of that of not belonging, not knowing who I am
So how did
played a
you get
big
to
role.
that point where you walk in a room now and you have that confidence?
Um, at 50, I something clicked, I don't know, and I just realized I don't have to please anyone if I don't want to. I don't they're not going to add anything to my life. I don't have to be a part of it. I learned how to. Now, I was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia also.
Mm.
And while I was in my hospital bed, they had given me 6 weeks to live. While I was in my hospital bed, a nurse came in and she said, "Have you ever done meditation? Have you ever tried meditation?" And I'm like, "Yeah, meditate when I pray, I guess." She's like, "No." And when I began to do my meditations and learn more about myself, that's where that confidence began to build up. And that's where I started to say, "Oh, well, it's my mom's loss.
Yeah.
She doesn't know such a great person, a
I do the
great
same
person
thing.
that's her
I do the
loss. She
same thing.
created me,
Yeah.
you know,
Yep.
that's
You're
her,
missing out.
you're
You're missing
missing
out on a
out.
great person.
Hello. And my kids are amazing and you're missing out on that. So that's on her. But I think the biggest thing for me with confidence also comes forgiveness. And it took me a long time to learn how to forgive.
Yeah. And a lot of
And
adoptees don't like that word, you know, because they feel like if they say they forgive, then that means what happened to them was okay.
they let it go.
And so
Yeah.
they hold on to that anger and the
Mm-hmm.
injustice that they feel, and they feel like they can't forgive and they stay stuck. So how did you navigate that?
I navigated it, like I said, I learned myself. I learned, who Gigi was. Um, I started saying to myself, that all the stuff that I went through could not have been for no reason.
Yeah.
When I talk about forgiveness, it's not so much for that person, for me, because I was very angry. I always felt like, tumbleweeds inside me just all the time, stirring, and the anxiety that came. I got tired of that. I got tired of my children seeing me like that. I got sick of, attaching myself to people who mean me harm or don't mean the best for me. So I had to kind of like take account for myself, more, and say, do I want to be this person? By no means I'm not giving my biological mom a pass at all,
Yeah.
but I'm putting her here.
Right.
Just like she put me here and she left me there. I'm going to put her here and I'm going to live my life, and I'm going to, I feel like helping other people helps me as well. To inspire them and let them know, you know what? It's okay if you don't fit in. Now not fitting is my superpower, like,
Yes.
I stand out now. So
Right.
in a good way,
Yeah.
but I just feel like maybe I wouldn't maybe not use the word forgiveness, or maybe just put them in a box and heal myself. So journaling and, just kind of, sometimes I go back and I think about some of the things that I, remembered as a child. And it helps me put pieces together. Like I told you earlier, I remembered something that happened when I was a little girl. And I immediately write it down. I have so many journals in my house. I have like a basket. I have a journal for my fears. I have a journal for my anxiety when I'm feeling anxiety. And I think sometimes writing is so therapeutic.
Yeah.
Because when you write it, maybe I wrote it down today is October the 29th or whatever day it is. When I go back next year at the same time and look at my progress, I'm like, wow, I conquered that. Or I don't feel that way anymore. Hopefully I would say I'm a better person now.
Yeah.
So I think that's what gets me through. That's what helps me not succumb to those feels that I do have sometimes.
So you were talking about learning how to meditate. How old were you when you had leukemia?
The first time I was 34. I've had it 3 times.
Oh goodness.
And at 40, and again 5 years ago. So 5 years ago. So I've had it 3 times. And they told me the last time, 5 years ago, that if I did not get a transplant, then I wouldn't make it. So my son was my donor. And next year I celebrate 5 years, which means that I'm no longer in the woods, I guess.
Nice. What did you learn through that process? 3 times. It's I mean, because I've had friends that have gone through it and they've said, if I get it again, I can't do the treatment again.
Yeah.
So what did you learn through that process?
Yeah. I learned patience. And I think the driving force for me, and people can say that this is crazy or not, my kids, the first time I was married, and I promised myself I would not leave my kids with my ex, my husband. There's no way I could, I would not do that to them. So I think that kind of like that energy that I felt that from my children kind of, pushed me. But I think learning gratitude, for the things that I do have, that helped a lot. I think that's where believe it or not, that's where I got my positivity from, because I had so many people coming in my room with gloom and doom. And I said, you know what? I'm not accepting any of this. I know that I have a purpose. And I wish that all of us as adoptees would kind of, learn that.
Mm-hmm.
But we have purpose. We're not special for the reason that they think we're special. You know, we're not a prize. We're not something that you purchased to make yourself feel better. We shouldn't have been that. That shouldn't even have been in the forefront.
Yeah.
And I know that a lot of adoptees experience that. And in that, I feel like they don't realize how special they really are without being adopted. You know what I mean? Like, I think that they put this thing on us that the only reason that we're special is because someone chose us.
Yeah.
No, I'm special because I'm me.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah. I guess, I don't know if it's the Leo energy in me. I just, I feel in my life, I'm taking charge of my life. And if they don't like me, if they don't like it, they don't like it.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And that's okay.
Yeah, I'm just really trying to figure out, because I have the exact same shift that you're talking about. I had the same. Yes. And so I can't figure out what is that shift. What made that happen?
What is that?
I wish
I don't know if it's
figure
age.
It out. I don't know. I'm sure some of it is that.
But
I don't know.
I think too, like, I dealt with a lot of anger and I repressed it because I always wanted to come off as this, I'm nice, Gigi, smiling all the time. And I think I learned how somehow, like you said, I don't know where that shift came from. I learned how to take that anger and I'm shifting it to, positive. Or it's almost like I want people to know, or I want my mom to know, you didn't break me.
Yeah.
I'm still here and I'm stronger than ever. And I'm going to tell my story because I want to help other people. And I'm going to be honest, I'm always transparent. And a little bit of me wants her to like sting a little bit. I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Because you're getting away with, you're living your life.
And but down deep, she can't be happy.
She can't
with
be.
Her,
I
with
believe
who she
is.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that she's tormented. I think I imagine her looking out her window every day, hoping that I don't show up because I know where she lives. I've sent her letters and, cards and things like that. And I think that living that way, it's no way to live. Even like in the 60s and 70s, there were so many, even now, but it was really prominent then, people hiding things and just, I know a lot of people that don't know that they're related to certain people, because people have, covered it up. And like, why would you want to live that way?
Yeah, it's horrible.
It's horrible. Yes.
So you're writing a book. Tell us about this book.
Okay, here's another story.
I know.
I'm writing a book about my foster grandmother. Well, she's my adoptive grandmother. All the things that she taught me in life. I wouldn't know how to crochet if it weren't for her. I wouldn't know how to cook and, make certain dishes. And those were the happy points in my life before she was, I don't want to say she was tragically killed, but she was chopped down before her time. She suffered a stroke on her brain. And what led to that, she was, how can I say this nicely? She was raped by her nephew. And she carried it to the grave. And she told me, I was 14 years old. She told me, and she told her daughter, and she begged us not to say anything. And here I am, 14. Why would I say anything? You asked me not to say anything. I'm not going to say anything. And I think it tormented her. So 2 months later, she passed away. She had a stroke on her brain. And the doctor said it was because of whatever traumatic thing happened to her. And I'm telling that story, but I don't just want her story to be like a shame or something tragic. So I'm telling little stories of things that she taught me in the middle of that
Yeah.
to let people see who she really was.
Yeah.
I don't want people to say, "Oh, I remember her. She, so and so raped her." I don't want that to be
No.
her story.
No.
So, yeah. So I'm writing a book about that.
It's like she had to just tell somebody.
She had to tell it was so I could tell it. I would cry. She ran over to our house because we lived across the street from each other.
Mm-hmm.
And she ran across the street at 2 o'clock in the morning and banging on the door. And I came out. She's all, her all disheveled. And my mom said, "Sit on the step with her. I'm going to go call the police."
Mm.
And as I was sitting there, she looked at me and she said, "I never thought this would happen to me." And I'm like, "What, Grandma?" And she's like, "I was raped." And she told me who did it. And I was just, So yes,
Yeah.
I want to tell her story.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's another thing. Somehow I felt that was my fault.
Wow.
I was supposed to spend the night with her that night, and I went to a school dance instead. So I stayed with her daughter, and he came in that night and took advantage of her. So I carried that guilt.
Oh.
If I were there,
Yeah. If you
maybe
were
I could
there,
have.
it might have been you,
Yeah,
you know?
and I think about that too, but not her. She's 70 some years old.
Yeah.
But
So,
yeah, I'm sorry to be
no,
so
you're
dark.
fine. So, how
But,
do you maintain such a positive attitude through all of this?
well, like I said, it's just what motivates me is, wow, if I just tell one person my story and it changes their life,
Yeah.
just in them knowing that I'm not the only one. That's what motivates me. Like if you go on my TikTok, my Instagram, like I always try to teach people that to have self-love. Love yourself. If nobody else loves you,
Yeah.
love yourself. Because how in the heck am I going to love you if I don't love me? So, what was your question? You said what motivates me. That's what drives me. If
Mm-hmm.
if one person if one person just goes in my DM and say, "Gigi, that video you did, that singing bowl session, that meditation, that breath work you just did, it changed me,
Yeah.
even for just 1 second."
Mm.
That was good enough for me. That's
Yeah.
good enough for me. That's why
Yeah.
I'm so positive. I now I have days, and the people close to me know that
I
I
love that
have when
little
I have
giggle right there.
I have days, and when my family knows those days, you know. But I'm so grateful that I have children who understand me and say, "Okay, mom, go ahead. You're tripping. Go ahead and trip, and then come back." Because I have a son, my youngest son. He'll say, "Where's positive Gigi today?"
Oh, funny.
She's not here yet. But
She called
yeah,
in sick.
she called and said she's out today. So, but yeah.
So, in closing, what would you like struggling adoptees to know?
I want struggling adoptees to know that they're not alone. And I also want struggling adoptees to know that you're worth every bit of your weight in gold.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not because somebody told you that you're worth your weight in gold. It's because I want you to know that. I want you to know that you're not special because you were chosen or picked or purchased or, any of those things. I want you to know that you are special just because you are.
Yeah.
And it may take someone else another way to get there.
Mm-hmm.
I hope it's not through cancer. I hope it's not through a bad marriage. I hope it's not through any of those things. But if it is, I want you to know in the midst of all that you're still important and special without any of those
Yeah.
other things.
None of those things define you. That's not really who you are.
No. And I want people to know, because I felt this. I felt like I was ashamed, like I'm part of someone's shame,
Yes.
But even if that's their shame, you know what I mean? Like you're not the shame. They are dealing. That's their shame. That's not your shame. That doesn't define you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
That's what I'd like to say.
So where can people find you, and so we can keep up on all your progress of your book and other things that you're doing?
Okay, great. You can always find me at Gigi Sturgis on all the platforms: Facebook, IG, TikTok. My IG is Gigi Positivity, but if they put at Gigi Sturgis, they'll find me. I'm everywhere. You'll see me dancing and do all kinds of things. So yeah.
I know, I love all that.
And stuff. Melissa, I want to say to you too, and I don't know if you've been told this before, but what you're doing is so incredibly necessary. It's so amazing. And I follow you, I watch you, I just, to have that strength that you even exemplify by doing what you're doing. I commend you for that.
Oh, thank you. Well, I couldn't do it without you coming on and telling your stories and helping me educate the world. So
thank you for letting me jibber jabber.
Oh, no. All of it was, like I say, all of it's something that somebody needs to hear. So I just thank you for being brave and coming on and being vulnerable and telling your truth, because it's, like you said, it's also somebody else's too. And that's just going to help people.
I appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on today. Wow, what can I say about what a big story packed into one person? And even though she's gone through so much, she is such a positive light in the adoptee community and just in the world in general. And I feel so blessed that she reached out to me to be on the show and that now we are friends. I'm just amazed that in spite of it all that she has been through, that she is just such a positive person and has such a positive outlook on life. And every day gets up and I see her reels and she's just constantly working on herself and is so encouraging to those that are friends with her on her social media pages. And through her story, I hope that you feel the possibilities of living a happy, peaceful, and purposeful life, because it is possible. And one way to give purpose to what you've been through and whatever your journey has been is to tell your story. And if you would like to do that, you can contact me at mindyourownkarma@gmail.com. You can find me at my website, mindyourownkarma.com. Get in touch with me and let's get your story on the podcast. It's almost November, which is Adoptee Awareness Month. And what better way to help educate the world during that month than to tell your story? I can't do it alone. I need you to help me do that. And the way we do that is by telling one story at a time. Other ways that you can help the podcast: share the episodes to anyone that you think would benefit from hearing it. Become part of the Karma Crew on my website. Rate and review the podcast on Spotify or Apple. And that really helps get the word out about this podcast and gets the word out about adoption. I thank you so much for joining me today. And as always, take what you need and leave what you don't. And always remember to mind your own karma. I'll see you next time.